Hello everyone, a warm welcome to another edition of Hard Copy, where we bring you the people behind the news. I'm Maokwe Ogunjosuf. Now, I don't know if your week was eventful. I hope it was in a good way, because on the national scene, there certainly wasn't a dull moment, and we haven't seen the ministerial list yet. I wonder what will happen when that list comes out. But let's start from Monday. It started with a letter. Yes, another letter from the letter writer of Owu, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who wrote openly on the state of security in the country. In the letter, he urged President Buhari to take decisive action on the state of the nation, warning that there could be dire consequences for us all if matters are left to continue in this stead. Now, while many agreed with the former president, the current president fired back, saying unpatriotic elements were politicizing isolated incidents of insecurity in the country. The Nigerian Senate was concerned enough about the state of security in the country to dedicate a debate to it. They didn't mention the letter of the former president, but cited the reason for that letter, the killing of Mrs. Funke Olakuri, who's the daughter of an Afenifere leader, Ruben Fashoranti. Well, tonight, we speak with one of the senators on that debate and other matters. Senator Sunday Onor represents Cross River Central and is currently serving his first term in the Senate. Senator Onor, welcome to Hard Copy.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Well, how have you found being in the Senate as a first-timer?
Beautiful, challenging, very exciting. Some of the issues, we expected we'll encounter when we get to the Senate, we're encountering already.
What were the problems?
Well, you get to the Senate and you meet very experienced colleagues, and they keep harassing you with this ranking story, which makes some sense, though,
yes.
because you need experience.
Yes.
And as you stay in the Senate, you begin to see that you've just got to make haste slowly. A few things, matters of procedure, matters of form, sometimes even of content.
You find out that, is it true that all senators are equal, but some are more equal than others?
Well, in every establishment, even here in Channels TV.
But let's talk about, just quickly, the welcome package is one thing that always raises the eyebrows of Nigerians.
Yes.
Is it as grand as we hear?
No, not at all. And especially if you're grassroots oriented as I am, your people are always in perspective. And
agreed, but I mean, they don't collect the money, do they?
No, they must do. They must.
They get your the
welcome
package?
They must. They must be a part of it.
How is that going to? Go around?
Because look, let me tell you, I intend to do a book. I call it The Tragedy of Followership in Nigerian Politics. If you're a grassroots politician, as I am, you must be sensitive, sometimes to even the daily needs of your constituents. It takes money to deal with it. I'm not saying that we must allow ourselves to be buffeted by the material culture that pervades Nigerian politics, but you must be sensitive to
If I get you clearly, what you're saying is that indeed you have received a welcome package, but your constituents have benefited largely from it.
The point I'm making clearly is that it's not as huge as people make it appear. It's not out of proportion.
How much is it?
It is reasonable.
Just give us one.
No, it's not my.
It's
not my place to begin to say that.
Why is it not your place?
Not my place.
You don't want to say how much you got.
No, we have the information unit of the Senate. Maybe they will talk to you about that. My job is just to say to you that it's not as exaggerated as it appears.
Exaggerated. What would exaggerated be? Just give us a.
No. People have a way, of making things look very big, even when they are very small. And we in the Senate, in the National Assembly, generally feel that it is more so with legislators. We have so much to do. You must be in touch with your people all the time, and it costs a lot.
So you say it's not so big, but you're not telling us how much it is.
It's not my job.
Let's talk about security then.
Yes.
Since you're refusing to answer that question.
Yes.
You have seen what has happened this week. It started from last week. Sadly, we lost somebody, the daughter of a prominent leader in the Southwest. You have seen the backlash as a result of that. A letter followed suit, and the Senate thought it was important enough to use that opportunity to talk about the security situation in the country. What are your thoughts on the current security situation where we are?
Look, I feel, honestly, that we are hanging loosely on the verge of a very slippery precipice, that our nation is drifting, and I say so with a huge sense of responsibility. Perhaps at no time in the history of this country, except maybe in the days close to the Civil War and after, and during, have we had this kind of decay in terms of insecurity. I mean, if we engage in self-denial, whether at the individual level or at the governmental level, we won't be doing our people justice. Our responsibility as leaders at any level, across the aisle, across political parties, across ethnicities, is to stand up and face this nightmare that we are all experiencing in this country. Nobody is safe. The rich, the poor, the lowly, those who are at the very top, can be victims, as it happened recently, you know. My take simply is that we must overhaul our security architecture. My take is that governmental structures must also be overhauled. For instance, I have said it, and I'll say it repeatedly. I used to be a local government chairman. I think the collapse of the local government structure has not helped with security. Local government chairmen are chief security officers at that level, properly funded alongside the traditional institutions. They can deal with security situations on the ground before they begin to assume proportions that are very huge and damaging.
That is even with the fact that we have a national security architecture. By that I mean we still have security largely concentrated in the hands of the federal government. You're saying that if local government chairmen have the funds alongside local authorities, they could work with the police at that level. Is that what you're saying? That
is what I'm saying. But the other thing I'm saying is that a major ingredient that catalyzes insecurity is poverty and a sense of hopelessness. Government at the local government level, properly funded, with the right caliber of persons running it, creates a situation where people at that level are taken care of. Hopelessness is minimized and mitigated. Poverty is dealt with in such a way and manner that makes people happy. And when people are happy, when people are hopeful, their propensity for crime is minimized. Look, when I was local government chairman, there was a direct relationship between the momentum of the market and the allocation that I get. Once we have our money sent to us, the market knows that the local government council has received allocation because contractors, you know, civil servants, traditional institutions, groups, women groups, town councils, market unions, have one way or the other, you know, would in one way or the other be part of it.
Yeah, but you have heard the criticism. Part of the criticism we have heard in recent times, the fact that monies have to be sent down. People think that the funds ought to be generated from the local government.
No,
and
it's both.
That there's supposed to be room for that.
It's both.
What is happening on the other side? Because oftentimes it is the one that is sent down that actually affects the local economy.
No, it's not true. People have the tendency of making it look like profligacy only takes place at the local government level and that funds are so badly mismanaged that they need to be protected, they need to be supervised. By whom? Supervised by whom? The authorities you're asking to supervise them, have they done better than those local governments? To whom more is given, more is expected. You want to think about corruption and proper management of resources, it starts at the federal level and then goes to the state before you begin to talk about the local government level. I mean, what comes to my mind is the biblical saying, first take away the plank in your eye before you look at the speck in another person's. There's no justification for that. Local governments ought to be properly funded. When they are properly funded, a lot would happen.
You
People
agree
will be reached.
that the local government system has collapsed. Would you say it is largely due to corruption or incapacity of the federal government or
I
the local
just
governments
think, I
themselves?
just think it's the way and manner that state governments have ambushed local government funds and trivialized the essence of the local government system. That is what is fundamentally responsible for the collapse of the local government system. Look, democracy is like an organism. It evolves. You know, we are learning at the state level, we are learning at the national level. We should also allow the local government system to evolve.
Let me bring you back to the issue of of security.
Yes.
Because the Senate actually had a debate on it, but we were not quite sure what the resolution from that debate was. So number of people thought that what the Senate was proposing was another security summit, which was what they heard the Senate president say. I think it was his own contribution to the debate. But what exactly was the resolution of the Senate after the debate on security in the country?
Multi-perspectives on the issue were raised. You know, what the press seems to have gathered, and it's understandable, is what the Senate president offered and said in his closing remarks, which is that, look, all the perspectives offered in the debate on the floor of the Senate at plenary offers a basis for a national summit so that we can look ourselves in the eye and tell ourselves the truth, government to government, people to government, government to people, and so on. Because the security situation requires hard work from everyone. From everyone, you know, and that's the only way we can make progress with it.
You saw in President Obasanjo's letter. I don't know if you read the letter, did you?
I didn't read all of it, but I got excerpts from the media.
Well, part of what he said could happen, and these scenarios he says are completely avoidable. He talked about a possible genocide in the country. He made reference to Rwanda, and you know, he was warning that if certain things are not done, you know, we could be heading down that path. What is your impression of what he said? And how do you think that we can begin to gather a consensus? Because some people have not been able to remove the messenger
from the message.
Yeah. How do you think that both sides, because some people say that this is an attack on the federal government, this is an attack on the party, the government in power, and especially since he did not support them in the first instance.
Yeah.
But how do you think Nigerians can begin to gather consensus, both from the opposition and the party in power, to try and come up with solutions that will be acceptable to all without necessarily politicizing it?
To be honest with you, no human being is perfect. And President Obasanjo is definitely not perfect. There are things he has done I do not agree with. But the one thing you cannot accuse Obasanjo of is unpatriotism. The story of his adventure in the military, his participation in politics, you can't take away patriotism from President Obasanjo. I know many people don't agree with the way and manner that he has gone about this. They believe that he has access to the presidency and ought to speak with President Buhari. They are correct to some degree, but the issues he raised are issues that are germane and topical. And these are issues that we should all look at, irrespective of the messenger, like you said, okay? If you do a juxtaposition of some of these countries that have gone downhill, like Somalia, you get to find that there are indicators in those countries that are already here with us. So we must make hay while the sun shines, and that is what Obasanjo is saying. And there's nobody who can dispute that, who means Nigeria well. The truth is that we are in a difficult security situation. It is an embarrassment to us, nationally and internationally, and we must put all our hands on deck, which is what Obasanjo said, you know, to resolve this, and very quickly too. And that is what the Senate has said too.
Would you say that we're treating it with the urgency that it deserves? I agree there was a debate in the Senate, but that was it.
The government is doing its bit, but if you ask me quite honestly, I do not believe that we are doing the utmost in this situation. And our attitude doesn't give the impression that we see this as an emergency, which is what it is. There is no part of this country that is safe right now. Kidnappings everywhere, murdering people everywhere, and the value of human life in Nigeria has really depreciated. I saw, you know, on the internet where people were packed into, you know, some big vehicle, and they were just being dropped out like chicken It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world right now.
Well, I do not know.
It's
what
very unfortunate.
The video and
the
source
video.
or where it was
on the net,
located.
yeah.
But let's take a break now. When we return, Senator Onor has also served as the Commissioner for Environment. Is it an agenda that he believes should be moved to the national level? In a moment, please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Senator Sunday Onor, representing Cross River Central, is our guest tonight, and we're discussing the state of security in the country. Well, Senator, let me ask you quickly what you would like to see us do to show that, I mean, by us, I mean governments and also the people. By government, of course, the three different arms of government and the people as well, to show that we are taking this and treating the problem of security with the seriousness that it deserves.
I have told you one, a revitalization of the local government system.
Which will take a while. Some people will say that will take a while.
Well, I don't really think so. You know, they have done the first thing, which is direct allocation to local government councils.
You've seen how that has been kicked against.
Well, yeah, you know,
saying it is unconstitutional. You saw that debate.
I laugh about it because I know those who kick against it. You know, I've been local government chairman. I was chairman local government service commissioner at the state. You know, it shouldn't be kicked against.
And we haven't heard anything.
And I don't even think that it's as unconstitutional as they make it appear. You know, the joint account is supposed to be an account for which the state government pays 10% of its internally generated revenue too. And the funds are supposed to go to local government councils. But what has been happening is that a lot of state governments ambush those funds. And I don't think that is right. Every patriotic individual at any level should let local government funds go to where
So revitalize local government. What else would you suggest?
Yes, and you know, the police, they would always tell you that they are not properly funded. A lot of people have also raised the issue of the sheer number of policemen. And they are saying that it doesn't meet UN standards by any degree whatsoever. So we should recruit. I mean, government's fundamental duty to its citizens is security. We should recruit men. You know, there are so many unemployed people in this country. Recruit them into the police. You know, the police is overstretched. And then I think the police needs reorientation. You know, the way the police is now, that patriotism, I don't see it there, you know. People want to die for a country that remembers them and remembers their family when they die. They want to die for a country that is a proper country. If you believe that you are not even sure this country survives beyond you, how will you want to die for it? Many people, and people, if you enlist into the police, you should want to do the utmost. It's like enlisting into the army, and it happens in other countries. Why can't it happen here? You know. Unless we have that kind of commitment, we won't go too far.
Let me take you up quickly on the environment. Now, some people will say that security challenges are, yes, they're confronting us and they feel very immediate, but there are things that if we do not also address could be a risk to the lives of Nigerians. The environment is one of them. I think I'm just looking at this report done by Anna Cunningham, who is a freelance reporter. She did this report with On Dark. It's a site that deals with science and investigations into any area, including the environment. They say that the World Bank has estimated that all Nigerians, somewhere between 182 million people to 198 million people, experience a mean annual exposure of PM 2.5 at 38 micrograms per cubic meter of air. Now, that's almost 4 times what global health officials consider safe. You have been a commissioner for environment. Do you think that environmental issues should come to the fore at the national level?
Definitely, you know, and I mean, Maokpe was commissioner for environment in a state that's very environment friendly, you know, Cross River State. We are noted for cleanliness, you know, we went far. We're trying to put together a system that works, you know, in Cross River State. With that experience, I mean, I cannot expect any less. I expect that we should take our environment very seriously. Living the life.
I want to know if it's an agenda that you intend to champion at the national level.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would speak to the issue when the time comes. Why not? I will. You know, Nigerians must begin to understand that good living is not necessarily about money. You know, you can be suffocated by your own money. You know, the environment, good neighborliness, you know, acting and developing in a manner that is in consonance with environmental expectations globally. All those are issues that must be taken into consideration. You know, the way we violate those standards here is not acceptable at all. And I would like to see a better Nigeria where we are more careful about our environment and how we live, the air we breathe, the kind of houses we build, you know, etc.
I just want to ask you, I mean, coming from Cross River, looking at the people who, in whose position you have, who have stood in the same position that you currently standing in, Senator John Onor and Senator Victor Ndoma-Egba, do you feel a pressure to have to prove that you can do far better than these people?
First of all, I want to commend them. You know, my predecessors have been fantastic. Victor Ndoma-Egba is an icon. John Onor is very brilliant. And incidentally, we come from about the same area. But they also know me, and they know that I'm not under any pressure at all. I'm the original caterpillar, and I got momentum.
Okay, well, if you say so. Just,
yes, they know that.
Looking also at Cross River, it has also had its own fair share of security challenges. So in recent times, we have been seeing more communal clashes, dispute over land borders and things of the sort. What are some of the local measures you think should be put in place so that, you know, this crisis or these things that we hear do not, you know, overtake the entire state or cast a shadow on what we used to know of Cross River?
Honestly, Maokpe, it's been worrisome, you know, recently. We have been a great state where good neighborliness, where a proper sense of history that brings us together, a culture that is universally hospitable, has prevailed. You know, we are only seeing some of these breakages, some of these deviations from the norm only recently. And all of us as leaders, as someone to take responsibility. The militancy which tried to creep into our state, the communal clashes which are ongoing. I think our governor is doing his best, you know, to summon the stakeholders to meet. We have also told ourselves that we will do the same. We're trying to get our people together to make them understand that these are needless. And we have a reputation as a state, and we must keep that reputation as a clean, green place, as a place where you could come really relax and enjoy yourself. Isn't
that reputation already falling?
It is not falling. It's being threatened a little, Maokpe. And we are up to it, honestly. We are up to it. We're going to ensure that it even gets better.
Yeah, because tourism used to be one of the things that Cross River was known for.
It still is.
Is it as well? Is it doing as well as it was envisaged?
There are hiccups here and there. There are challenges here and there. You also expect that. But the important thing is that our governor is perpetually optimistic, and Colin Powell, you know, made it clear.
Are they perpetually optimistic?
Yeah.
Are the people perpetually optimistic?
Well, yes, they are, and perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. You know, we believe very, very strongly that we have gone through our own low patch, and we are bouncing back, you know, with a momentum that is very strong. I assure you that the Cross River you knew is even getting better.
Well, it's left for our viewers to visit and make up their minds.
Let them come.
But Senator Onor, thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you so much, Maokpe.
Well, that's the program tonight. Your tweets and mails are welcome to @CTV Hard Copy and hardcopy@channelstv.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Maokpe Ogunjusuf. See you next week.